When Roundup Ready soybeans came out about 25 years ago, it pretty much killed the market for a lot of conventional soybean herbicides that could be used post-emerge. Well, guess what? When Roundup resistance started showing up about 10 years ago, a lot of these herbicides came back. So we're going to talk today about some choices that you can make on your farm for herbicide that can be used in any trait for soybeans or untreated conventional beans. And also these products, many of them can be used as tank mix partners as well. So we want to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each one. Let's start with the ALS family of herbicides.
Brian, these products have always been tank mix partners because they've got a narrow spectrum of weeds they're going to control. And you mentioned the ALS products right away. As soon as we say ALS, why are we classifying them as ALS products? Because you're probably getting a trigger going off in your brain saying, wait a second, I've got some ALS resistant weeds. But there are quite a few weeds out there that we are going to control. Let's take the first product, Pursuit, or its really close relative, Raptor. Wow, I mean, here's some great chemistry that back 25 years ago was the lead chemistry across soybean acres because it controlled so many different weeds. Now, it didn't last very long into the 90s before we found water hemp and Palmer pigweed that were resistant to it. But when Pursuit first came out, it was awesome.
All right, so this is where I completely disagree with Darren. He said none of these were standalone products. Pursuit was a standalone product. We didn't advise that, but when that first came out, there were a lot of people that decided, you know what, I'm just going to go Pursuit, and that's my entire program. They did that, and the first couple, 3 years, it worked pretty well. Today, what we usually talk about Pursuit with is low rates because we worry about the carryover. So usually we're talking 2 or 3 ounces instead of the full 4-ounce rate. Also with Pursuit, it carries over more in low pH as opposed to high pH, which is different than a lot of other herbicides out there. With Pursuit, we love it for black nightshade control. Even a half rate usually gives you season-long control. And like Darren said, it does have activity on many other broadleaf weeds as well as a number of other grass species. So the big thing we're worried about here is ALS-resistant weeds. Obviously, it won't control those. But yes, Pursuit does make a nice tank mix partner if it fits in your rotation.
Pursuit's primary competitor way back in the 1990s was a product called Firstrate. It's one that still gets used on a lot of acres across the country, especially as a pre-emerge herbicide. This is one of the ingredients in Sonic or Authority First, and that covers a lot of soybean acres across the country, as I mentioned. Why? Because it does provide some broadleaf control, and it also isn't too bad on mare's tail. And so on a lot of the no-till acres, guys like having that in the mix. Now, I'm not going to say it's awesome on mare's tail post-emerge, but pre-emerge is something that can help. Post-emerge it could too, again, if you have a tank mix partner, primarily Fomesifin or Flexstar.
Yeah, but good luck on mare's tail. Most of the mare's tail now is ALS resistant, so I don't view Firstrate as a good control product. Same thing with common ragweed and giant ragweed. Some of that's now becoming ALS resistant, not all of it though. And that's the main reason why if you're in states like Minnesota, you probably use a lot of Firstrate either pre or post because of the ragweed. So the main thing we're after with Firstrate is different ragweed species and then cocklebur, sunflower, and some of the large seeded broadleaves.
Now, back once again in the 1990s, there were some other products called Classic and Pinnacle. They were 2 products that were fairly close relatives, but they controlled some different weed species and often got used together. The Pinnacle portion, or later on named Harmony, was really good on lamb's quarters, where the Classic portion was good on cockleburs and sunflowers.
Okay, so today there are a lot of different Pinnacle products, otherwise known as Harmony. There are a lot of generics out there. Classic also can be used. We worry about Classic carrying over. So in the northern United States where people have higher pH soils, we don't see a lot of Classic used. There is still a lot used as you go south.
All right, we've briefly mentioned some of the PPO family of chemistry, things like Flexstar, Fomesifin, which are really popular products. Also Ultra Blazer and Cobra, and I think it's probably good to look at all 3 of them together and
say, don't forget about Cadet too.
Well, that's true, and Cadet, so there's 4 products then. Let's look at them all together because oftentimes you're going to use one of these 4 products for some help on pigweed or some of the other broadleaf weeds.
The big difference between these 4 products is lots of residual with Flexstar, no residual with Cobra. Cadet's going to fall somewhere in between. Ultra Blazer also would have no residual, just like the Cobra. So Cobra and Ultra Blazer on one end, Flexstar on the other. So Flexstar, you really have to be careful where you use it, the rate you use it. It's not even labeled in all areas just because of that carryover potential.
Yeah, with Cobra, this is one that was probably the first one out on the market, and so growers got familiar with it, but they also realized quickly that it does put some burn on the soybean plants. One of the side benefits that we got by using Cobra, in addition to the broadleaf control, was it also helped out on Sclerotinia white mold. Where we used Cobra, we saw less white mold problems, and in fact, in many university trials for the last few decades, they've looked at Sclerotinia white mold control and found Cobra to be, in some cases, even better than some of the fungicides, in other cases, at least competitive with what a fungicide could do.
All right, real quick on Cobra and white mold, use a half rate, like 6 ounces, around June 15th or so, about a week or two before the beans are going to flower. That's where you'll get the best response. In terms of weed killing power, with all these PPOs, we're usually focused on a lot of the small seeded broadleaves, things like water hemp and Palmer pigweed especially. Now, kochia as well, that is one that people will mention Cobra from time to time. In conventional soybeans, Cobra is the best thing we've got, but Cobra on kochia is maybe 50 or 75% control, that's it. So make sure you've got a great pre-emerge herbicide out there. When we start looking at the other products, yes, I like FlexStar better on water hemp. Cadet and Ultra Blazer probably somewhere in between. I mean, they're okay, just probably not quite as good as FlexStar, and again, FlexStar has the most residual of any of these products.
Yeah, we listed quite a number of products here, and all of them could be used in conventional soybeans. They also could be used as tank mix partners or helpers in a biotech crop like Enlist soybeans or Extend soybeans or Roundup Ready soybeans and so forth. So it's good to know there are some other tools out there that could be used to attack one weed or another in your soybeans this year.
And one of the big questions we've got is, will any of these herbicides control our weed of the week? We'll tell you what will stop this weed coming up later in the show.